and welcome back to another episode of the Vigilant Geek podcast. My name is Andrew Puzak from Vigilant Geek Media, and with me, as always, is
Holden Orm of Vigilant Geek Media. And today, with a special guest, introduce yourself.
I'm Nathan Burke, not of Vigilant Geek Media, but of Hotcast Studio, where we record Vigilant Geek.
He's also
podcast.
a New England comic.
Yes, New England comic.
And
today we're doing a very special episode here on the Vigilant Geek, where we are going to discuss our favorite epic video games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
This episode will be centered solely around video games and gaming and things of that sort. We're talking everything from the original Nintendo and Sega Genesis, all the way up through the ranks to Xbox One and PS4, and not negating any PC games as well.
It's probably pretty fair to say we're mostly console guys, though.
Oh yeah, I'm particularly a console guy, but I do have I got a few PC games on my list as well. But yeah, we figured that this would be a great way to branch out a little bit, broaden the horizons of the Vigilant Geek as a whole, and have a little fun here, discussing some of the games that we grew up with and still play to this day. Because you don't want to grow up too fast.
No, and I still do go back and play some of the games that we're definitely going to talk about.
As do I.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know you do. You have a nice little setup.
Yeah, I'm a big vintage video game guy. Now we.
You have some systems. You have a few systems set up, right?
Oh yeah, well
you got like most of them, right?
At the Vigilant Geek headquarters, located in Peabody, Massachusetts, I got Nintendo, Super NES, Nintendo GameCube, PlayStation 3, and Xbox. So I got a nifty little setup going on over there.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah.
I only have, I think right now all I have really set up, plugged in, ready to go is a PS3 and Wii U.
Oh, yeah, I wish I had a Wii. Oh, I have an N64, too. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah. I own most of those. It's just one life event after another kind of left me high and dry. The only things I'm really rocking lately are the PS4, and then I got a PS3 and close by.
Yeah, we use the next-gen system I have. It's, I mean, if you can even consider it a next-gen system, it's more of just a advancement on the Wii, but...
the Wii U?
Wii! Yeah.
Wii U! Wii U!
But I would like a...
It's like if Ric Flair created a gaming console, it would just be called the Woo! Get it? That's what he does?
Yes, I get it. Of course.
Nathan gets it.
I get it.
Woo! Anyways.
All right.
So I guess the best way to kick this off would be let's go around and talk about some of our honorable mentions here, and then once we're done talking about those, we can then go around and discuss our top 5 games of all time. Each of us today have picked 5 of our all-time favorite video games. So that's any console or PC or whatever. But first, let's start with you, Holden, and let's talk about some of the games you love but didn't make the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard. I spent most of my young, impressionable years in front of a screen with a controller in my hand, so it's kind of hard to pick your favorites. It's like if I had children, it'd be hard to be like, yes, you're my favorite, and then the other kids get jealous. Only in this case, they're not kids. They're just software on discs, mostly, or cartridges. I don't want to give it away. And then the ones in cartridges, but yeah, they're not getting jealous. Anyway, my honorable mentions. Let's see. For the first one I'd like to discuss would be Borderlands 2. I've recently spent a ton of time playing this game. It's got the story is extremely well written. The voiceovers are kick-ass. I remember a time when the voiceovers for video games would just be laughable and just like laughably terrible because they'd try to be real serious and then it'll just end up like bad.
Oh,
But-
yeah. I can already think in my head like a couple of good examples of that.
Geez, I
but-
think like the original Resident Evil had some pretty bad voiceover stuff.
Yeah.
The characters and the writing in Borderlands 2 is amazing. I played a lot of Borderlands.
I remember,
Also.
yes, you helped me beat one of the what was it?
Yeah, we were playing online for a little while.
One of the expansion packs.
Yes.
Yeah. That was the one with like Dr. Nerdo in the swamp or whatever. I forget what the hell they
Oh,
called
yeah,
it.
yeah. I think I remember.
Yeah, all in all, it was really good. It had some RPG elements because each gun, it's a first person shooter, and it's kind of cell shaded, so it looks pretty. And you're walking around, and when you shoot somebody, the amount of damage you do is dictated and expressed through a number value that pops up over the creature that you're shooting.
Yep.
And it also had the system where you had a skill tree for your character. There's 6 classes, and it allows you to develop each of your characters based on like how you level up, and you can develop them due to your own play style with that particular character. Each character is kind of zoned for special things. I tried playing with most of them, but most of the time I'd rock out the assassin or the siren.
Yeah, I played with assassin too, and I tried the DLC. I can't think of the name of her. She was the Necromancer.
Necromancer,
The
yeah.
Necromancer, yeah.
And then they had the badass Psycho.
Yeah,
which
I didn't play with that one though.
No, I haven't played with him either. He just I don't know. For all the imagination that they have over there at Gearbox, they couldn't seem to come up with an idea for a 5th character.
Well, you also don't want to be playing around with a loose cannon. I mean, you got somebody who has, mental deficiencies, and you're in the middle of a gunfight, and you don't know what he's gonna do. You may think you're controlling him, but you're not. He's crazy. He's out. He's insane. And
as the late Roddy Piper would say, "You do not throw rocks at a man who has a machine gun." That's
pretty good.
R.I.P. Mr. Piper.
But yeah,
we miss you.
But that's a great game.
All in all, I mean, I thought the story was fantastic.
And so many good sub stories too.
Oh, so many good, and it was it was funny and it was well done. And I'm just kind of waiting for the true sequel because they came out with the pre-sequel, but the pre-sequel's kind of underwhelming. I've been playing that one too, and it's not the same. Just kind of.
Yeah, I never played the pre-sequel. I only played a few of the downloadable content stories, but all in all, just a very addicting game, and very fun to upgrade everything and kind of match up all your different
a lot of
weapons
loot, a lot of different guns.
Yep, a lot of different
I've
abilities.
I actually just restarted playing that again. It came, let's see, for PS4 they released the Handsome Collection, so it released the pre-sequel on one disc with the Borderlands 2 with all the expansion packs and everything. It was just $60 for everything. It was just I gotta have it.
Yeah, it's such a good game.
So that would be my first honorable mention. Should I just
keep on rolling, brother.
Keep going. All right.
Rolling.
My next honorable mention would be
rolling.
Mario 64. Mario 64.
Solid choice. Yep.
It was the first true 3D platformer.
Amazing.
I used to just obsess over this game. After I gotten most of the stars and beaten the game, I'd go back and I'd make sure I'd got every coin in every level.
Yeah.
And
get all the stars.
And got all of them. I think it was it capped out at 200, and then you go talk to, you shoot on this cannon, and you find Yoshi on top of the castle, and he just gives you 99 lives that you don't need anymore because you just beat the game.
Yeah. I think I've gone through that and gotten all the stars 3 times in my life. I think I've played through it completely 3 times, 2 or 3 times.
Oh yeah, no, it's so fun.
The thing with me is back when that game came out, back when N64 came out, even I didn't have that attention span needed to play an RPG, so I didn't play a lot of RPGs. I play more RPGs now because I feel like as I've matured, I've gotten that attention span. I want to sit down and I want to like figure out a game, whereas before I was mainly into fighting games and racing games.
Right,
and
you want
that.
the immediate fix rather
exactly.
than the long drawn out.
But nowadays,
like building something.
Yeah, nowadays I like that better. I like
And then you can just sit back and look at what you've created.
And it's sometimes
this character that you've developed.
and sometimes it's just a beautiful thing. It really is. So
if I could hitch my wagon to that idea, do you
certainly
want to go around kind of and just.
Speaking of hitch your wagon, you just made me think of another PC game that I have to mention.
I know what you're talking about.
We'll get to that.
I was gonna say my biggest RPG, very recent one, and almost made my top 5. This is an honorable mention. Is Skyrim.
I was hoping one of you guys was going to bring that up.
Yeah, that game's such a big deal. I purposefully, I bought it, right? And then I never ended up playing it, which is just as well. Well, no, hear me out. Like this is back when I was in the Army and I had a lot of like disposable income.
Right, okay.
But I didn't have a hell of a lot of time, so like my gaming choices had to be kind of like selective, and I knew that if I ended up actually playing that game, I'd like end up doing it like for an entire weekend and then come into work like completely dehydrated with like no sleep.
Yeah, that happened to me a few times. It's just like playing that game. I went back to it a few times. It is like one of the biggest examples of a game that acted like a drug, where I just had like withdrawals and just started thinking about it all the time.
It's so
good.
good.
I gotta play this game some more.
You're just thinking about it when you're doing other stuff like you need to fix.
And they have so many. It's such a literally chasing the dragon. Because you really have to kill a lot of dragons in that game, and also it's like they give you so many different quests that it's like I'm never gonna complete this. I'm just gonna keep playing it. It is a gotta catch 'em all type of mentality.
Especially if you have that like anxiety where you have to do all the side quests before you do the main quests.
I do. Yeah.
Like I've seen the booklet for that.
And
it's
then
like
you do the main quest
6 inches thick,
and it's like. And you've done so many side quests, and you're like up to level whatever, like 50, and it's just like, and you just dominate the main quest. You just blow right through it because your guy's so powerful. I played 3 different characters. I'm still on my 3rd one, but I've come off it right now for now.
Oh, congratulations!
Until I have another relapse.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah,
I mean that whole scenario that you're discussing with the addiction and the side missions. I mean that. For me is pretty much my scenario with Arkham City, and I'll get into that too. But when you get into those games that you're just gonna really get glued to, one of the little tricks that I like to do, because it's really annoying when you have to go to the bathroom. Am I wrong?
No.
You got to pause the game and you got to go to the bathroom, and then you got to wipe yourself and then come out and then unpause the game.
Time just goes.
It's a real pain in the ass. So I like to hook up my catheter, just so I totally bypass that whole step. So I just get to keep staying in front of the screen, and it's great.
You just put in the catheter, attach the feed bag,
and you're good to go.
Make sure you got your water bubbler.
Yeah, that's all it is, man.
You got one of those new ones that like easily attach.
So
you just plug it right in.
Word to the wise: if you're one of those people that doesn't want to deal with the hassle of urinating in a bathroom while you're playing video games, the catheter works wonders for me. So, not to get too far off topic, let's continue here, boys.
What I want to hear what your hitch the wagon reminded you of.
Oh, come on. You guys don't know?
Oh, yeah. I got a pretty good idea.
But
I got a pretty good idea. I just want to hear you say it. Yeah.
Well,
I'm leading you into it, you see.
It's a segue.
It's a good segue. And, I was never big into PC games, but I wrote down, the ones that I remember enjoying. And even though there were a lot of educational qualities to the Oregon Trail, I used to love, putting like a team of pioneers together of my friends and watching them die of dysentery and the flu and things that people
Snake bites.
snake bites and
yeah.
things that people don't die of anymore. And then I would make it. I would always make it out west, but I'd probably always be the only one left.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's more land for me, right?
Yeah,
You know?
it's actually luck of the draw that happened. You don't have much control over which character gets like the good food and
Yeah, I'm kind of just blowing smoke up everyone's ass. I don't think I ever made it out west, to tell you the truth. I think I always died of dysentery.
Yeah, everybody I know always would always name their pioneer family like really terrible things. So then you'd end up in situations where like my dick got snake bite.
And then you figure we were probably in like the 5th or 6th grade playing that game, and we thought that was so hilarious.
Yeah, and it was,
and it still is.
and it still is.
My vagina died of dysentery.
So yeah, and I
was a fun game.
got a list of a small list rather, but of other old PC games that I really liked, and we'll get into that. But I actually I do kind of want to hear a little bit more what Holden's got on his list here.
All right, so I left off Mario 64, just super influential because it was like the first 3D platformer ever done right. Moving on the list. I will go with Resident Evil 4.
Ooh,
I'm not
good title.
I'm not a huge fan of survival horror, and when I ended up picking it up, I heard great things about the 4th game. I didn't know about too much of the backstory because each of the games has something to do with one of the other games.
Mm-hmm.
Was never hugely into survival horror, but this game actually played more of like as an adventure game.
Mm-hmm.
The story was fairly decent, and the gameplay was great. And by the time I got through it, I was just like, "Whoa, this was awesome." I mean, it didn't hurt that I ended up picking it up for like $20 on a whim. So
I have like a weird vendetta against not a vendetta, but I have a weird thing against zombie stuff in general because I don't like that there's no character to the villain. Really, like I have something.
Yeah, they don't have personalities. Typically.
Yeah, I need a personality for my. I need a motive.
It's kind of like a man versus nature thing. Like,
yeah,
like zombies are that's kind of a disease.
That and I'm a scaredy cat.
Yeah, no, I don't like. I'm not a big fan of horror in general, but I ended up playing.
I'm
that
the big
game.
horror guy in this room. And
And
I do have to agree, though, that is my one qualm with zombie media. And I'm a big zombie guy. I love 28 Days Later. I love Walking Dead. I love Left 4 Dead. I love Resident Evil. I love The House of the Dead. Anything with dead in it. The Evil Dead. That's not a game. That's a movie, but it should be a game. All that stuff for me, but I understand what you're talking about. If you're facing like Count Dracula, you got somebody with like a sleek personality. He's kind of a slime bag who preys on women at night. I've come to suck your blood.
He's like a sex offender.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much like a vampire / sex offender, absolutely. But that he's got a personality, he's got charisma, and you got a zombie, which is just kind of like a mute creature, just going, tastes great, less filling. It's not the same. Although I am an advocate for zombie material.
No. Well, it's excellent when it's done right. But over the past like 20 years, has really they've really flooded the market with a lot of. It just seems that one undead creature after another like really picks up in popularity, and then gives way to another one. Like vampires are hot, now it's zombies. Then werewolves, now vampires again, then zombies.
There's never been a big werewolf surge.
No,
Yeah.
well, they didn't really pick up like they did. They don't have that werewolf sex symbol.
They're always
that's
sort of like an
exactly
ancillary.
that's exactly what I was going to say, because you look at vampires and they've been sexualized very much in all sorts of different types of media. If you even look at other things in the horror genre, like you look at zombie media, and maybe the zombies themselves aren't sexualized, but sure enough, you better bet your money that the survivors that are trying to get away from the zombies are going to be sexualized. But then you got something like a werewolf story, and it's this big hairy behemoth, and it's just hard to sexualize that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna
or
have,
like a creature from the Black Lagoon type thing. Same deal. It's slimy and
Speak for yourself.
you got your like. What's gonna happen? Like you get your werewolf hero, you know, and then is with the female protagonist, and then it's like the end of the movie, and then like what's romantic? Like, would you expect her to just like get on all fours while he just goes at it like doggy style, literally, and howls at the moon?
I think that would make for a great premise for a film. In fact, I'm gonna get over to my Microsoft Word after this and get going on a script. Sounds fascinating. But yeah, Resident Evil 4, I also played that one. That was a kick-ass
I never got
game.
into the Resident Evil series.
Yeah, actually, I also enjoyed that because I also actually finished the game. There are a lot of games I play, and I never play them to the end because, like I'm frightened by closure. It's just like, oh, it's over now. Like, you get, like, that self-satisfaction from completion, but, like, if it's actually really, really good, like, I just don't want to ever stop playing it, and then I end up stop playing it.
No, I'm with you on that one. I'm very guilty of that, especially with Arkham City.
I need like a goal. I do need to complete things like that. It, like, or like
no, especially if they give you like a list of things and give you a percentage.
Speaking of games that will give you never give you closure, if I may throw in a honorable mention,
you may
Animal Crossing.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I remember watching you play a lot of
which I love.
Animal Crossing, yeah.
But that the game's so open-ended. Like, the way they designed it, they made it like, oh, it's just going to be part of your life now.
Yeah.
And, like, the way that, like...
the clock is set up is every day is just, it's on real time.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, you have to, you want to come to this celebration? You got to wake up at like 7 in the morning.
Dude, it's like...
and do the morning yoga.
It's like a trap. Like, if you're unemployed and you're playing that game, you just, like, I could just imagine people, like getting their lives to revolve around it. Because the thing about that game is only certain things happen specifically at certain times within the game.
Right.
And its clock is set to your own personal clock, which means that like certain events are going to happen during the day.
Right. Yeah. You can't do it.
And it's just got to be torture for some people. Like, they really look forward to like a week-long vacation so they can do stuff like during the week
game,
in the game.
It's like, I got to be home by 5 because that's when the mailman comes and I got to talk to him about something.
I'm never gonna get my magazine straight if I don't get there in time.
It's such a weird game because it's just collecting stuff. All it is just like the whole point of the game is just to collect, like, be a pack rat and just collect things.
Actually,
and build your house up.
Oh yeah, this is actually a good segue to another one of my honorable mentions. Harvest Moon 64. It kind of it was just before Animal Crossing, but it's really got the same premise.
Mm-hmm.
What you are is you're this guy, and you inherit like your farm, and the whole point is you got to clean up the farm and make it like turn a profit. So you're basically just going around growing crops, like looking around for wild berries in the mountains. And then another major aspect of the game is that there's like 5 eligible women within your local town, and you can talk up any of them and like give them gifts and stuff.
It's like The Bachelor.
Yep. And then
kind of reminds me of The Sims a little.
Only this one, you like once you get them to a certain like heart level, then
once you get them in your van, then
then you can buy this.
You can really go to town.
What was the item that you need to give them in order to like propose for marriage?
I forget. It was like a type of flower or something. I forget.
Wouldn't it be like a ring?
Oh yeah. It's like a special flower that only grows in the mountains, and then there's also like a blue feather or something. Or is that what you give them?
I totally forgot because I had
the blue feather that knocks them up, and then you have like a kid.
Oh yeah, I think that is right. There's a feather that you have to have a kid.
But I think you're right. Yeah, you gotta like go up into the mountains and find this like really rare flower,
like from Batman Begins.
Yeah. No, like you gotta. I think you like it only grows in one spot in the mountains, but you gotta like buy the seeds and then water the thing every day.
Yeah.
And then like once it's like there, then you pick it, and then like But as simple as it sounds, just like water crops
Mm-hmm.
and like milk cows and like feed chickens. It is probably one of the most addicting games I've ever played.
Me too.
It's such
I played
like
the,
simple, repetitive tasks.
I played the girl version.
Did you?
They came up with the girl version for GameCube, and that's the one I bought. And you were a girl, and it was just flipped. So all like the guys in the town, I guess, were the bachelors that you had to choose from.
Oh yeah.
So I was like hitting on guys.
Yeah.
Yep, and it was
Little role reversal there. All
Did
right.
you still have to bribe them with gifts?
yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's so ass backwards.
I know. You'd think I could just show up and be hot.
Yeah, you're just like, hey, I'm in great shape because I run around taking care of my own farm all the time. Like the least they could do is just be like, here, have some mountain berries.
Yeah, that's funny of Harvest Moon to act like guys need to be impressed.
Oh my God, you're killing me. Yeah, that is definitely a warped reality, I'd say. Wow.
But yeah, I think it was like the same game and the same engine and everything. They just flipped the skins basically.
Do you ever just wake up at like 3 a.m. and be like, shit, I gotta feed my chickens?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do with Animal Crossing all the time. Couldn't, you know.
It pretty much allow you to do all the same
like,
stuff?
there's a ghost that comes out at 2 in the morning, so I gotta play it right now.
Yeah, it's like, you want to go talk to him.
Actually, I play it Saturday nights and get the music from the dog. KK Slider. He used to play music Saturday nights. He used to go down to the cafe or whatever, or wherever he was playing. And the first one, it was the train station, but
You can buy a meager living while you're paying off your loan to Tom Nook.
And I loved the music and that KK Slider would perform for everyone on a Saturday night.
Well, you know,
all the animals in town.
To each his or her own.
But I'll get off Animal Crossing.
I think we're due. It's time for you to have an honorable mention, Andrew.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, all right. Well, if that is so, I have a lot of N64 games on the list. I guess I'd like to rattle through my Sega Genesis picks first.
Yeah, just do those. We'll bounce back and forth. We got a good thing going now.
No, that sounds great. For Sega Genesis, one game that I absolutely couldn't put down as a young lad was Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. It was a game that was very well written. It had a lot of characters. The gameplay itself was very satisfying. Spider-Man, you know, he was definitely like a character that could beat the piss out of everyone else, and I don't know.
It was a sweet side scroller beat 'em up. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it was actually named after like a pretty big Spider-Man event that like I never hear about anymore.
Oh, I'm sure you're probably right. Yeah. Obviously, like the big villain in that is Carnage, and you know, I gotta assume that sprung from whatever Maximum Carnage story arc that was in place at Marvel. But yeah, that was an excellent one. I really loved Vector Man. I thought that game kicked ass. Beat
I don't
it.
know if I ever played it.
It was pretty cool. It was actually right when the 32X expansion pack, or whatever you call it, came out, and the graphics started getting just like a tiny bit better, but people were like really pumped about it. So it went from like 16 bits to 32 bits, and everybody was like, "Oh my god!" You know, nowadays it's laughable, but at the time, yeah, Vector Man, it just, you know, there wasn't much to the game. It was just pretty much, you know, he's a big green robot and he's killing other robots. But I mean, once again, good side scroller.
There's a lot of good side scrollers. I'm going to rattle off some names of weird side scrollers for Sega.
Yeah.
Weird kind of Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm
so
Jim.
many of them, yeah.
Booger Man.
Yeah, I think it was like made by the same people. Yeah,
made by the same people. Like Real Monsters, the video game.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, that was a thing?
That was a thing, yeah.
I didn't know they had their own game.
There was a Ren and Stimpy game too, I think.
There was.
I had a Ren and Stimpy game, but it was for like Game Gear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was there was like a good Simpsons game for Sega, right? Or was that Nintendo?
Well, both actually. Simpsons was out. I mean, they had games for PC, for Nintendo, and then the arcade game that was really popular. Most arcade games are still Sega, and because of the arcade game success, they had a Sega Genesis game too.
Yep.
So yeah, Simpsons games, and they were all good games, I thought.
Earthworm Jim probably being the best one out of those.
Oh,
out of
totally.
that short list, but yeah.
They did a Beavis and Butthead one too, which was it was all right.
Yeah.
Wasn't that great though.
No, yeah, the whole premise of that game was like it was like a side scroller, but you got to go to different locations to try to pick up stuff because like your GWAR tickets got shredded in a lawnmower, and you got to like go around town looking for pieces of them to get into the concert.
Yeah, and you're like only defense is to like burp and fart on people.
Yeah, well, I guess you pick up like other weapons later on in the game, like spitballs and other stuff.
That was like probably the golden age of crass premise side scrollers.
Oh, absolutely. Just to throw another good Sega side scroller out there, one of my personal favorites, and once again, it started as an arcade game. Sunset Riders. It was a Western game.
Never even played that either.
Yeah, it's it was popular in arcades, and then it made its way to Sega Genesis. And you could be like either the cowboy, like the white guy with blonde hair with the pistols, or you could be this badass Mexican guy. I was always the Mexican guy with the sombrero, and he's got like like a Gatling gun, and you're on rooftops and you're shooting at people, and there's stampedes running through, and you can jump on and off horses and things like that. And I don't know, I just loved it. I thought it was great for a side scroller,
Right. If I may say another one that I know we both have in common, I don't know if it's on your list, but actually, is it on your top 5? I don't want to blow it already.
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Greatest Heavyweights.
Oh God, yeah. Well, no, I specifically left that off my list because I knew it would be on your list. This was one of our favorite games ever.
Yes, yeah. It's barely didn't make my top 5, but it's very high on my honorable mentions because it has hilarious voiceovers of I almost want to bring it up on the thing if I can find it. But
that would be very cool. But hilarious voiceovers, and they're supposed to sound like the famous boxers, like Muhammad Ali's, like I'm so pretty, I'm king of the world, and then Rocky Marciano is like I'm gonna embarrass you. And then there's all the other boxers trash talk, pansy, sucker, don't run away, sissy, pansy, sucker. And it just kind of like goes in a loop like that, like while you're trying to play the game. I don't know. It's definitely the best boxing game ever created. I would say.
That's a bold thing to say. It's my favorite.
I mean, there's Fight Night and there's Ready to Rumble and all that good stuff, and obviously, the gameplay is a little better. But I just love Greatest Heavyweights because they got all my favorite Greatest Heavyweights. The voiceovers are hilarious, and the game is just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know if I can find the actual sound effects, but we'll see.
As far as boxing games are concerned, I feel like all these advancements in technology has kind of made it harder to make a real quality game. Like back when the game was just like real simple, just like this like right punch, left punch. Like, and then you got your dodges, and then you got your blocks.
Body head.
Yeah. I mean, that was that was like the meat and potatoes. That was the good stuff. Now that things have gotten kind of complicated, like a lot of the games now, they're like, oh, you swing the analog stick like this, and it's like realistic.
Especially like I love the UFC games, but they are very complicated with like as far as rotating.
I haven't played one in a while. Like last one I played was it was like the 2000 one. I mean, that one was really good. It's But you're right. Yeah, it did get complicated. And
You
there's
go to the ground, you had to like
there'd be
rotate
like a,
the analog
yeah,
stick
yeah. There'd be
in
like a
weird ways.
shitload of button mashing.
Yeah.
Oh, those are big button mashers.
But I do
yeah.
like those games.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
regardless.
certain amount of technique in that one too. But at the same time too, it's like if you don't block when like if you're not lucky and they hit you just right, like you're done. And then like
Right.
most of that game you spend like loading up the game to actually play the thing. And then if you're like 10 seconds into it and someone just like knocks you out, like you're just like, more loading.
If frustrating.
Yeah. If I do get a PS4, that's probably going to be a game I get though. Is one of the the whatever new UFC.
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't even know they got the rights anymore. It used to be the people from Ukes. They make good fighting games. They did the
do.
WWE
Yeah,
games for
they
the
did.
longest.
Some of the best ones.
But I think EA's got one now. I don't know. Maybe there's just a couple MMA fighting games.
I could probably do a full hour on just wrestling games, by the way, because I've played like everyone in history. I'm probably not going to get the new one because I have a specific reason. I got the last year's one, and I don't have a next-gen system yet, and they just totally slacked on the older system.
They're not supporting it anymore.
No, they just didn't care about it at all. It was just like kind of like a remake of last year's for the same system, and they just
Except
I heard it was really good for the next gen system. Was a shame.
Didn't I hear that you could be Arnold Schwarzenegger?
In the new one, yep.
Which is bogus, but I mean, it's hilarious too.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of cross promotion, the WWE, with the Terminator movie.
Well, everything else.
Yeah.
Didn't Steve Amell just appear on Raw?
Yeah, he's
last
going to
Monday?
be on on Monday night, and
Arrow versus Stardust.
Yeah, SummerSlam.
So is he like a legitimately trained to do that now?
Who?
Steve Amell?
Probably not.
I doubt it.
It's going to be a tag team thing, I think.
Oh,
it's
so
going to
Neville.
be like
So he'll come in and then it'll be like, I got the magic chair.
Right.
And he hits Stardust in the head with the chair. And then he's like, oh my God, it's
Yeah.
a slobber knocker.
I think it's
Actually,
gonna
Jim
be
Ross is not there
Stardust
anymore.
And
yeah, you know.
Bad News Barrett versus Steve Amell and Neville,
Neville, yeah.
who's amazing.
Who's Neville?
He's a very high flying dude. He's incredible. Smaller guy, jacked, British dude. He's incredible to watch.
Really?
Very, very, very exciting.
I don't know.
I think he'll make
Dude,
a
every
great
time
Red
I-
Arrow.
Every time I hear you guys you guys talk about wrestling, it piques my interest, and then no, it's just that so much of my free time is already monopolized by video games and comic books.
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I don't get a chance to watch wrestling on TV because of my work schedule, but what I like to do is I'll watch the YouTube videos from the best highlights of the week, so I'll sort of know what's going on because I'm kind of getting back into it, I was really into it during the Attitude Era, and then I kind of fell out after high school, but it's definitely I'm having a rebirth with it,
Speaking of,
it's definitely the great American soap opera. Yes, Nathan. Go ahead.
WWF Attitude for N64 at that time. Terrible game.
I remember that,
Warzone
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Horrible games. You had
That's the
directional
you had
ones.
to have these weird button combinations
Yeah.
just to do the simplest moves.
Because the THQ made the WCW games, which is another honorable mention of mine. WCW vs. NWO World Tour and Revenge were two amazing, the first great wrestling games. Even though I loved Royal Rumble for Sega. But I think,
Royal Rumble for Sega was awesome.
Yeah, that was
So
a great
good.
game. But so I'll just blow off the wrestling stuff right now.
yeah, dude,
But,
get it out there. Get it
out there real quick. But that stuff was, they had the strong grapples, and it was very simple but fun gameplay that WCW did, and then THQ jumped ship to go to WWF and started making great games for them.
Yeah, what was the first one? It was WWF 2000. This is before the
WrestleMania
name.
2000 was one.
Yeah,
of them.
WrestleMania 2000.
Another
that's
one's
what it
in my
was.
top 5, which I'll save.
All right.
So
Well, yeah, no, those games are great. It was a lot easier to actually pull off some of the moves, and then it wasn't like some sort of government secret hidden behind a vault on how to do your special moves. So you could be stone cold and do the freaking stunner to people, or you could,
Right.
Or you could be stoned and still be able to do the Stone Cold Stunner, as it wasn't that hard.
yeah, you just hold A.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then Here Comes the Pain was a great PS2 wrestling game.
Huh.
SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. Brock Lesnar on the cover.
Oh, I remember that.
Great
Shit,
game.
that
Great
was
game.
that was back a while.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, since we're talking wrestling games, well, actually, this is in your top 5, so we don't want to mention that, but
Yeah, I'll bring it up later.
one last wrestling game that I'd actually like to bring up, though, is the Legends of WrestleMania that came out, it came out for, I think, PS3 and Xbox 360. The reason why I like this game, the gameplay wasn't terribly good, but they had, the best grouping of classic wrestlers, I thought, out of all the games, the wrestling games that have been out there. The first couple Legends of Wrestling were pretty bad.
Yeah, that was a different company. Legends of WrestleMania was the actual only WWF
okay.
Was actually licensed by WWF. The Legends of Wrestling one was like a totally private, like Hulk Hogan
show, yeah.
Yeah, like it was like Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, like those old guys, but there were definitely some significant people that were still under contract with WWF who weren't on the list because they were still affiliated with the company.
Right.
So it was only, and like Rob Van Dam was in it randomly.
Yeah,
which
it was like
a legend in his own right, and is looking at ECW, probably the biggest name to come out of ECW.
Oh, sure.
But I don't want to get into wrestling too much about that, so I could go off. But yeah, that's there was definitely that was a separate game, but yeah, the same idea of just the all legends game.
Yeah, I just, that's why I like that game, is pretty much just because of the characters, the different. I mean, they had almost everybody I was expecting to see in Legends of WrestleMania, which was cool. So
Yeah.
almost everybody. Was Randy Savage in that? I don't think Randy Savage made it on there.
He might have been. I don't know.
I got to go back and play it when I get home.
There was some bad blood at that time between Hogan and Savage.
Yeah, exactly.
So other. Oh, you mentioned The Sims earlier. I just wanted to jump back to that real quick and just say that was one of my big PC games.
Same here.
So I think that for a lot of people, probably that was very popular. It was fun to. I downloaded a lot of mods and made like Dragon Ball Z characters and Gundam Wing characters like all live on an island together and played Survivor and put a moat around it. And when someone got kicked off the island, you put a little thing to go into the water and made them swim around until they drowned.
It's fun to play God, huh?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know if I should really disclose this, but it's too late now. One of the real creepy things I used to do with The Sims in high school is like I used to make all the female characters girls that I liked in high school, but they didn't know that I liked them. But like this was like this private little like creepy fantasy I had of like living in a house and having children with her and stuff. And
I get it.
it was bad. That was at the point where like I had to start going back to the gym, I think, and getting into other hobbies because it was getting unhealthy, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think everyone's been there, Andrew. So I don't.
Everyone in this room, maybe.
Yeah. We need a bigger room to feel less awkward.
All right.
So I guess
I'll have some more mentions.
Moving right along.
We still got
I
them.
only have a few more, so
This is
I'll
fun.
let you guys.
Oh, geez, I got like so many more. I guess I'll just like touch on like some of my ones that I feel are important.
Do it up.
So another one of my honorable mentions, when I was younger, I used to play like so many RPGs, and one of them I feel doesn't really get enough recognition is Xenogears. Xenogears is a game. It's got like the storyline itself is a real deep. I guess whoever the Japanese guy who produced it is just like real into like a lot of German philosophers and stuff, and between like Freud and Nietzsche, and the whole premise is that like they're on this world, and what happened was there was this spaceship that like crash landed, and then all the people who survived like ended up forgetting. So like they'll dig up stuff and be like, "Oh, that's from the ancients," and they'd have these enormous mechs. So they'd just be like, "Oh, well, that's technology from the ancients," because in like all these games, well, in this one in particular, like anything from the ancients is a lot better than anything from that anyone in the modern era can create. And then it turns out there's a lot of like conspiracy and stuff, and it's just a really rich story. And the gameplay was good too. It was on this combo-based system where they'd give you X amount of points to spend on moves when you're fighting. Or you could just like do like a one-punch thing and then save it up and do one like enormous combo. And I thought it was a really, really good game. It was really fresh, mostly because it had a lot to do with like the Japanese with their mecha culture and their kind of RPG stuff. It's just a lot different than the games you find in the States.
Right.
So that is definitely one of my honorable mentions. Probably one of the best RPGs I've ever played. Another RPG I've played is it came out for SNES, but I never had an SNES. But so when I heard that this game came out on PlayStation, they were going to re-release it. I was like so excited, and this game would be Chrono Trigger, and this game was so ahead of its time. Like in RPGs when you're walking around, you don't see everyone in your party. Well, in this game, you did, and then you could also see the enemies on the screen. So when you ran into them, it wasn't like you're just walking around in an empty space, and then it's like, oh, you're under attack, and then the attack music comes up and stuff.
Right.
This game had a lot of interesting ideas. It started off in the modern era, and then you accidentally go back in time, but then you find out there's this alien called Lavos, and he's in the Earth's core, and he's like sucking the Earth's energy up, and he's going to destroy the world, so you have to keep going back in time and back and forth in order to get enough equipment and become strong enough and get your party together.
Yeah.
And like in order to stop this invasion, because I guess they had it that in like 1999 was the day of Lavos, and Lavos comes up and he's just like, oh my God.
I must have missed that. I don't know where I was in 1999, but I don't remember Lavos showing up.
They must have stopped him.
Yeah.
But
it's true.
It was really good. Story-wise, it was really interesting because there are all these different times you get to visit. There's like 7 of them. And
I just glanced something on your an honorable mentions list that should be on mine as well.
Sneaked a peek. Why don't you share it with us?
Streets of Rage 2.
Streets of Rage 2.
Fantastic game.
Probably one of my favorite side scrollers.
I own that one.
Fantastic.
Such
game.
a good game.
Awesome,
Great beat 'em
game.
up. Just going through, you get like sweet abilities. Like, oh, sweet, a pipe. And then you can just go house with the pipe.
That came out for the Virtual Console for the Wii a few years back, and I remember I played through it again a lot. Very difficult game.
Yeah.
Once you get pretty far in it, but
on the console
game.
it is. I remember I had it for Game Gear, and I think I was only able to beat it like 4 times. But like you'd be playing it in a sitting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is back before like the memory card came out. Like that really changed gaming like enormously. The ability to save your game and stop and then go like
go
rehydrate and eat something and then go get some fresh air and then come back.
Or go to the bathroom.
That too. Yeah.
If you're one of those people that like doing that.
I goes to the bathroom.
You got your catheter.
So. Right. But I like to be prepared.
I played that. Greatest Heavyweights and like the X-Men game for Sega, also a good one. I had a Sega Nomad, which was you could actually use the Sega cartridge and put it into it, and it took like 8 batteries or something like that. And it was just this big clunky thing that I got, and you could play actual Sega cartridges
on the go.
On the go.
Yeah, so
very
Sega
cool.
had a great library. They were like, as a company, they really messed up.
Well, the thing about Sega is they've always been masters at creating games, especially arcade games. But when it came to consoles, they had trouble competing after Genesis. Genesis, they almost had a monopoly going. I mean, Super NES was, of course, very competitive as well. But after that, everything that Sega was putting out in regards to consoles, Nintendo and PlayStation were trumping.
Yeah, they were always trying to get the jump on, like they wanted to get the jump on like Nintendo and them. So they're like, all right, well, we're going to reduce the 32X or Sega CD.
Or Dreamcast.
Yeah, and I mean, and those two especially, and then Dreamcast came out around the same time PlayStation and... Well, no. Then they put out the Saturn, which
the Saturn.
Saturn didn't really have much support, and then Dreamcast was like their make or break, and like that. I think Dreamcast is the sole reason why Xbox is a thing right now, is because they're like, oh, well, hey, we'll just do the same type of software, whatever, that Microsoft uses, and we'll go consult with them. And then Microsoft looked at it, and they're like, yeah, your thing's dumb. And then, like, a year later, Xbox comes out. It looks exactly the same as Dreamcast. Like, the controller looks the same.
But it's black.
Yeah. They're like, no, we have better branding. And I'm like, ugh. And then that's when Sega was just like,
I feel like
they
you're
just had to
almost.
give up.
I feel like you're almost doing a Bill Gates impression there. No, your thing's stupid. Hey, everyone, buy Xbox. Oh, too funny, man. What else we got? Let's finish up these honorable mentions as we approach 10 minutes to the hour.
all right, well, I got one that Nathan will agree with.
Yeah.
Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Ah, yeah, the classic.
Yeah,
Definitely needs to be there.
fantastic story, beautiful graphics, revolutionized the targeting buttons so you don't get lost in 3D space.
Great story.
Amazing, like the really fun items.
Great animation at that time.
Probably like the premier 3D adventure game.
Yep.
Like what Mario 64 did for platformers, Zelda Ocarina of Time did for adventure games.
Yeah, all those like things that first came out with N64, those were incredible. Like all the stuff that were like launch titles, like Mario 64, like Wave Race. I think,
Star Wars: Shadow of the Empire.
Yeah, all those games that were just like totally different than anything anyone had seen before at that time.
Well, N64, like
games.
the amount of graphics and processing power that came out the same time as PlayStation and Saturn. And PlayStation and Saturn were 32-bit systems, and N64 had a whole extra 32 bits.
Yeah. And,
like back when bits was a thing, now it's like 1080p.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss not to mention GoldenEye.
Oh, that's on my list, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got so many N64 games to talk about.
Oh, yeah. That was probably one of the more influential first-person shooters. Just like everyone played that game.
And I like, even more than GoldenEye probably, I played a lot of Perfect Dark, which was incredible.
Perfect Dark was a much more polished version of GoldenEye.
Which I loved.
Yeah, no, I think I like...
Great shooter.
That thing was like the weekend game of choice when you get together with your friends.
Mm-hmm. And you could play solo, but you could play multiplayer. They had like the bots you could put on.
And there was so much extra stuff you could do.
Yeah, and you could give them different styles. Like you could say like, oh, this guy's like a sort of more reserved player.
Or like this guy's an
aggressive.
asshole. He's just throwing timed mines everywhere.
Yeah. That was a great game.
Let's see. I wouldn't be doing anyone any favors if I didn't bring up Warcraft 3. I love real-time strategy games, but I don't really have any in my top 5. But if I were to have one in a top 10, this would make my list. Warcraft 3, the campaigns were so solid. The selection of units, the differences between the different races, is they each have their own playing styles, real easy to get into. They introduced the idea that you could have these heroes, and actually a mod of Warcraft 3 called Dota ended up springing up other games that like people play professionally, like around the world, like Dota 2 and League of Legends.
Right. Yeah.
They're like
which is huge.
just whole teams of like young adults like just professionally playing for large sums of money against each other in these games.
Those are like, you raise the stakes like that, and you're going to get a whole different fan base, huh?
Yeah, I heard there's like this big scandal. I guess you can get Adderall over the counter in South Korea, but now you need...
Oh, no.
So, like, you're like, I guess a lot of kids were using it to like be really good at the games. So it's like a performance-enhancing drug. So now they need a doctor's note in order to get it if you're a professional gamer.
Which still isn't very hard to get.
That's the gamer capital of the world. The PC gamer capital of the world is South Korea.
Oh yeah, no,
I
like
believe it,
they fill up like concert halls with people just watching people
yeah.
play these games on these giant screens.
Wow, I remember that back in the '90s. All those real-time strategy games like Red Alert. You'd hear about people playing
Command and Conquer.
Red Alert, I loved Red Alert.
Tiberium Sun was the third one.
Age of
That was a good one,
Empires
yeah.
was another one.
Yep.
Age of Empires.
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
cool
No,
game.
I mean, there's... Man, I do love me some
And then,
RTS.
of course, StarCraft.
Right,
Another,
StarCraft.
That was
Yep.
another huge one, yeah.
Another great Blizzard game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since we're talking about PC games, I might as well just...
Go for it.
I'm going to rattle off the rest of the PC games I have.
Get them.
So, first I want to talk about, you know... I'm trying to remember... I mean, you guys might be able to help me out. But the company that came out with, like, Doom and Quake and Wolfenstein, the name is not registering right now in my brain.
They've I think like the studios like renamed themselves a couple times.
Yeah. I can't even.
I used to
think
be
of
like ID Software, but actually I don't even.
Oh
know
yeah, it was ID Software. That's what I remember, anyways. So let's go with that for now, for lack of research. That I'll take the heat for that. But yeah, Doom. Well, Wolfenstein came out first. Wolfenstein. I mean, and they're all basically like very similar in style. They're all RPGs, first-person shooters. They were among the first first-person shooters that came out.
I think Wolfenstein was the first.
Yeah, I believe
shooter
so. Yeah,
and you had to put your Packard Sun into MS-DOS mode to run it.
Yeah, yeah, man, that was old school. But Wolfenstein, obviously, you guys know it. For those of you that don't, you're an American soldier in World War II fighting Nazis. In Doom, I mean, there's been a feature film. There's been 3 Dooms, right? 3.
I think they're working on a 4th one.
Working on a 4th one. Well,
like it's the first Doom was just great. I had like
Doom
3.
Everyone played Doom.
3 portions
Everyone
of the
loved
game.
Doom.
Doom was like the same as Mortal Kombat at that time, where it's just like the game that everyone had to play because it was like so shocking at that time.
It really was, yeah.
And there are 3 modes you could play, or like before these packs come out with extra levels and everything. That's kind of like the first ones that ever did, because there's like the first one, which is like knee deep in the dead, and then there was the second one, which I don't remember, and then there was like Inferno, and then but each of these ones there was like 9 levels, and then at the end you'd like fight this boss, but like it would never matter because everyone knew the codes for like invulnerability and like weapons.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
I had a brief Unreal Tournament. Period.
Unreal Tournament was pretty cool too. That was a very similar
little
game
later,
too.
yeah.
But yeah, I played a lot of Unreal Tournament, and that was a good one. And then a few years after I think Doom 2 came out, we had Quake, which was sort of like Doom on mutant growth hormone, if you will. I mean, the graphics were a little better, the monsters were a little scarier. But it's a very similar game once again. But all those games, they were super addicting, super fun. Everyone played them. They're a big part of my childhood for sure. So yeah, those games definitely worth mentioning. And then to wrap up with PC stuff, I just want to mention 2 real old school games that came out in the early 90s. First one being King's Quest. This game was
a thinking man's game.
Exactly. That was probably the best way to put it. Definitely an adventure game. You're a squire and you have to go through all these different little side adventures to eventually get the crown. And they made a few King's Quest games. I played the first one. The first one, the graphics were absolutely god-awful. I want to say they were probably 8-bit. But it was just a lot of fun because it was like solving a puzzle, so if you're into that kind of stuff. And, all the typical fantasy elements. You had elves and dwarves and dragons and knights and what have you, monsters.
All that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
All that juicy.
And they're making a new King's Quest PC game right now. Oh, they made it. It's coming out soon. I don't know the exact date, but it is interesting, and I think I might pick it up just for kicks and gigs. And then along the same sort of time period, this other kind of like weird different game that came out for PC called Leisure Suit Larry.
Ah.
I don't know if any of you guys have heard or
I've
remember
never
that.
played it, but I know about it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. That's the one where you play all these mini games and you're trying to bone these
That's
women.
That's all you try to do the whole time. Well, first you got to get your leisure suit. That's a whole thing. You don't start off with the leisure suit. You gotta earn that shit. So then he gets the all white disco Saturday Night Fever look going on with the platform shoes. You can't really tell because once again it's in 8-bit.
Right.
But pretty much the whole premise of the game is walking into different nightclubs and trying to hit on girls, and then you get to choose what you got a couple options as to what you want to say to them, and one's extremely crass for that time period, and then the other one is really gentlemanly, and obviously it's not hard to pick the right answer.
You could do a whole show about shocking sex things in video games. I remember when Duke Nukem came out. And you could go to the strip club.
The strip club.
You give them cash and they flash you.
Yeah, Duke Nukem. Shit.
Whoa! And at that time, everyone's you can put a code into Mortal Kombat and Sonya will show her boobs.
Oh, I remember people
and
going.
Everyone was no, that's not a thing. It's not a real thing.
Well, you know what was a thing is there was a code for Tomb Raider that you could get Lara Croft naked. Once again, I mean, it's a video game.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Well, most of the time, you only do that now if it's mods.
Yeah. I mean,
Mods.
I never gave a shit enough to actually find the code and use it for Tomb Raider, but I knew it was out there. So
if I had known that back then, I would have bought a PlayStation.
Yeah.
I would have been all about that. That's right up my alley.
I think at this point, let's take a little break. Before we break, I'd just like to plug the studio real quick. For those of you out there looking to start your own podcast, contact Nathan Burke,
That's me.
who is present at this podcast right now with us. He is the owner and operator of Hotcast Studios in Beverly, Massachusetts. You can reach him at nburke18@gmail.com or visit the website hotcaststudio.com.
Yep.
And Nathan will hook you up with some state-of-the-art equipment and get your podcast up and running.
Yeah, so our fan page on Facebook, and also follow me on Twitter at I am Nathan Burke or at Hotcast Studio, and direct message me about starting your own podcast.
All right, we'll be right back.